welcome to this Eyes of Harmony first thoughts
Happy
on this
Easter.
channel. Happy Easter as well. Merry Resurrection
Here's
Day.
a half-eaten
Woo!
Easter egg. I just
Nice.
noticed I left it there.
I have my first one partly eaten over there. Maybe I'd say a third eaten, and the cream egg's gone. Oh yeah, the orange one. Yeah, this looks good. But anyway, eggs aside.
Yeah.
This is a Doctor Who channel, not an egg review channel. If you were confused by that
They used
intro.
to do Doctor Who Easter eggs.
They did. I had one. I actually, bloody hell, I got. It still works after all these years. I got this in year 5, by the way, when I was. So I must have been. I was 9. It still works. It still works. I haven't changed the batteries or anything, and this shit still fucking works. This Dalek egg. It was a white chocolate Dalek egg, and it still works. Insane. Really crazy how long that's lasted. See, Russell T Davies just built to last, man. That era. So yes. So we just watched Legend of the Sea Devils, or is it The Legend? I think it's just Legend. It's just Legend. Legend of the Sea Devils. So the first time on screen, not 50 years as people keep saying. It's 50 years, I think, since John Pertwee's one when they first appeared, and then this. But they did appear in the Warriors of the Deep, which was the 5th Doctor story.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think we've all been expecting them to return at some point. There was a very iconic design.
I mean, well, sort of.
One of the strongest, I'd argue, of the classic era.
The thing about it was that since, like, the modern redesign of the Silurians that they introduced in Series 5 was more or less like a fusion of the Silurians and the Sea Devils. And since they're pretty much more or less the same species, or like cousins, but like biologically they're more or less like, you know, they're the same family. And so like when they redesigned them, I sort of thought, well, they sort of mixed the two. They gave the Silurians the heat ray guns and the sort of the more like cloth thing, and the fins on the head. Like the modern Silurian design looks far more like a Sea Devil than it does a Silurian.
It's the in between, yeah. It's like the in between.
It's not even really Silurian. It's a Sea Devil with a human more than it's a Sea Devil and Silurian. But so like for me, I was like, well, that's what they've done to them now. That is, you know, I that's what I initially thought was that, oh, they might not bother because that pretty much is a Sea Devil. But no. They went for a straight up 70s.
That was so long to just go, but no.
But no, yeah. I mean, you just gotta build it, you know. It's the comedy. You know? You gotta build it. Unlike this episode.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my
gosh.
This I really thought this episode was awful. Like in pretty much every department, more or less. It felt like a first draft. It honestly felt like a first draft. Like I may have even said that before at some point, like towards the end of the last series. But like I think this is worse than the end of Flux, because at least there, like it felt like they had like developed stories and had to mess them all together. This felt like there was like no time.
See, I'm interested if those rumors are true, that it was edited down from an hour to be, what was it, 45 minutes, I think it ended up being, or like 50. Like, from what I heard, a lot has been edited out, and to me that would make sense, because looking at it, some of the edits were really jaunty. There were some really weird moments in the edit. Or, I mean...
it wasn't just the edit, though. There was no fight choreography. Like, every time there was an action piece, they just zoomed in on the thing and went... There was so many zoom-in shots in this. Like, it was, like, constant. Like, it just didn't want to show anybody else. And, like I said, every time there was a swing of a sword, it was just, like, close-up, woo.
Yeah, it was
close-up, everybody falls to the ground. There wasn't any, like... Yeah, no...
It's like they had, like, one day to shoot all of it.
Even like the
And
rope swinging and stuff, people just suddenly people just appeared places. You know, there was no like flow to the pacing of
there was no
anything.
cohesion or blocking.
Yeah,
Like
they were
basic
swinging
blocking
across, and
wasn't
they're just
there.
there, and it's just like.
I think the biggest moment I was like, well, that sucks, was the moment when Dan used his hook to like save Yaz. Like that was a great comedy beat. And the way you do that, right, is you have a moment, you build it up. Oh no, she's lost her sword. She's gonna get hit. You know, she's covering her face, and suddenly clang, and you see the hook, close up of the hook. Then the reveal of, oh my god, you know, Yaz's face being like, what the fuck? And Dad being like, hey, I knew that coming, Andy. And then like whoosh, and then then you go back into the quick action. That's how you build a scene like that. But they didn't even show a close up of the hook.
No.
It was crazy. It was just like, oh, God. And my mum was like, wait, what happened? Like,
Yeah.
what did he mean? I was like, oh, it was the hook, I assume, which we kind of saw very briefly as it got flung to the other side of the ship.
Yeah.
The fight stuff was really jaunty, man.
But like, it wasn't just that. It was the script too, and like the emotional beats for the most part just didn't I laughed actually. I laughed at the beginning when like, and I know you're not supposed to, but like the guy's just looking at the sea and Dan wanders up to him and just like, I'm sorry about your dad, and just the way he said it, I laughed at that.
I'm sorry about
like,
your dad.
It wasn't meant to be, but like, it's like, why do
so...
I care? There was no build up to any of the characters here. Like, why do I care about the fact that this guy's dad's died? Because we barely know him. Like, a whole village got massacred. Why do I, why is this the one thing I'm focusing on? You know, they introduced this lady pirate character as like, okay, well they tell you, oh, the Doctor kind of fangirls for a minute, but like, context? Anything? No?
Yeah,
nothing?
I think that was all cut.
There's a guy on the ship. Oh, you know, and he's suddenly been kidnapped. Well, is he an important character? Is he a historical figure? No context, because all we see of him is that, oh, he's throwing his, like crewmates off a ship, and now he's needing to a sea devil. You know, it's like nothing gets like built up and set up, and like it feels like things just happen. It just, yeah.
Generally I think that a lot of that got cut. I think all about Madam Ching got cut, and all about the other pirate, which I can't remember his name, but I think all of that got cut. The rumor is, at least that I saw on Twitter, was that China was not happy with it, and China's obviously a big buyer of Doctor Who. There's a lot of business that goes through that, and I think they had to panic edit this shit down. And yeah, I think that obviously causes an issue. Now, that would excuse those parts, right? Barely knowing anything about Madam Ching and the other guy. I think it was probably the other guy that they had the biggest issue with, because it was like, no, he died honorably in battle. I don't know what the history behind this guy is, but they messed with his history, right? Like, I know that they wrapped it up nicely in storytelling ways, as you know, he's died saving the day at the end, but that could be insensitive, changing his real story for fiction. You know, like other cultures might find that very offensive. I could understand. You know, it's like the Rosa Parks episode. You know, really treads very close to the line of becoming like, you know, right? It's close. They did it well that time. It's a close line you tread when you do something that's so pinnacle like that. Something like Pompeii is so long ago. And, you know, it's not really any, like, built into any culture, but I feel like China is very, you know, like, their culture's super important to them. Their history is super important to them as a nation. So, if that was the case, and they got all this way down, and they basically filmed it, and then it was, oh, shit, no, this is terrible, don't do that, you're gonna upset, you know.
I mean,
like, what do you do? What do you do? You can't.
Again, I
but
would be
that
more
doesn't
inclined
excuse all the fight stuff.
I'd be more inclined to believe that, yeah, if like the rest of the episode actually felt like it was finished. And again, like, yeah, the fight stuff, there's that, and also the effects, like beyond the Sea Devils themselves, which also I thought were slightly odd. Like, I didn't like the way that the whole, you know, the neck went. Like, it looked a bit off. But like, genuinely, the effects here could have fit into an early-ish Russell T Davies era Doctor Who episode. Like, genuinely, they were that bad. Like, the sword glowy effect, that was just, it just looked really shoddy.
Just have swords. Why did they need special
Like
swords?
even like the green tornado-y thing and the ship, like none of it looked convincing in the slightest. Like especially like compared to like Flux, it felt like this was like they'd spent all their budget on Flux and they had like nothing to spend on this.
Well, I feel like this wasn't. This has been shoved in between.
Yeah.
This definitely wasn't. I know that some people were saying that, oh, this was supposed to be the last episode, and then they added the centenary. No, I think it was. This is the other way around. I think there was supposed to be this big final thing for centenary, and then they asked, oh, can you do one more? To like bridge the gap or something. And yeah, so this I think was last minute, so probably limited budget, which probably went a lot on the costumes and the set locations. Sets look great. I just want to say that.
Yeah.
Sets look great.
Yeah. Wasn't there an interview where this was like written in a really short amount of time? Like,
yeah, probably. Right. I can imagine this was.
I was pretty sure
this is basically. And this is probably why then it hit that issue of they didn't have enough time for it to be checked by, read by relations, to other cultures, and that could have been, something that fed into like this probably. I mean, the rumors are it was a very troubled production this episode. So and making TV's fucking making short films is fucking tough. I can't imagine having to make an hour episode with this much in it, especially when you've got like big sword fight action sequences, and if you have no time to like block it and really work it out, and I bet they had like a day to film all of that fight scene, or maybe like two.
Probably.
Like my heart goes out to them, but at the end of the day, we're talking about the final product, and that's what we saw.
Yes, to be honest, 3 days. Yeah, I just found it.
It was written in 3 days.
It was written in 3 days.
Okay,
yeah.
This wasn't Chris Chibnall's Midnight, was it?
No, it feels like it. Like I said, and I say it again, it felt like a first drop. That was the first thing I said to my dad upon this episode finishing, is that this whole thing just felt like a first draft.
Yeah,
because there were so many things that were just not thought out.
Yeah, like the sea creature. Did that never got solved? So is that just massive ass creature just out there now?
I guess. Well, I mean, and they never properly explained that. Like,
and it spit out the cannonballs?
They ate the TARDIS, and then like there was stuff in the middle of it. Like, I thought that all the whole like Sea Devil base and the ship
inside that
was inside
thing
the
to start
creature.
with. Yeah,
so,
that's what
so
I
kind of like the Loch Ness monster for the Zygons.
Yeah.
Pretty much is what I think, or what it is. But like, they never clearly established it. Like, is that actually a creature with?
No,
like,
it was a sniffer dog. No, they had that was their base. That creature's still out there, because then she said, exactly. "Oh, I've been given away by a sniffer dog or something." It was confusing. That part was that Amaya, or was that a different creature?
They never say. They just say
never
the
said
monster. It. They never clearly like say either way.
Or the Merca.
Yeah, Merca.
Weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can see how this is very much a first drop. Like, it's a shame because there's lots of really good ideas in this.
Yeah. Had they had the time, this could have been like I was interested in like all the concepts that I was reading about it. The fact that they were going for, again, like a smaller historical, well, to the wider world, a smaller historical figure, like this Chinese female pirate, which was, and mixing that with sea devils and such, and like you can go back and listen to how we like reacted to like seeing the next time trait at the end of like Flux. Like, we were excited. This all looked really cool. It's just it was just really poor. Like I said, on pretty much like every level. Like, I just really felt like this was just really bad, more or less. And the only thing it felt like it spent like any significant time on was Dr. Yaz.
Yeah, that was its strongest element. To be honest, the things I was happy. I'm glad the Sea Devils didn't get sidelined too much. The 3 things I asked for on Twitter this morning was that Phasmin had some screen time,
which it did,
and actually dedicated to it, which it did. Sea Devils weren't completely sidelined, which they weren't. They were still like main threat in there, and for something for the centenary, so we don't get Twitter coming up with god awful rumors and the trailer's gonna drop tomorrow at 8 p.m. and like I don't know where these fucking rumors come from. So I'm just the three things I actually wanted, I got.
Yeah.
So like I'm actually I think my expectations for this era and Flux, I lowered them a lot, you know, before Flux basically.
Yeah.
So I think I enjoyed that probably a lot more than you did. I had an okay time. It wasn't like it didn't hurt like Series 11 did for me watching it. I still enjoyed that far more than any of like most of Series 11. Maybe Kablam and Rosa I enjoyed it a little bit more, but like, you know, I didn't find this as painful as like Saranga Conundrum, which was completely boring to me. This had entertainment value. At least I think it's just the companions that are more interesting to me. I like Dan, I think, which is makes a huge difference. And the comedy I thought was fairly decent at some points. There was some funny lines, which was fine. But yeah,
I only laughed
it does
at things
reek of
that weren't
first
meant
draft.
to be funny. Honestly, like I personally can't like agree with most of that. Like I think at
That's
least
fair.
Saranga Conundrum had pacing. This
No,
had
it doesn't.
pacing.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Like
It
compared
doesn't
to
have pacing.
this, like it's not good pacing, but it has like a degree of it. This is just stuff being thrown at the wall and characters appearing in places. Like this is like no pacing. This is like the end of Flux without the Doctor being split in three mechanic. You know, it was just a big mess, and like and the script felt even more. It's like I said, I just find it was really appalling on like every level, and I didn't go in with like massive expectations. I was like, yeah, next time trailer looks cool, but I wasn't actively like, oh my god, I need to find out more information. I'm really excited. I need to read all the interviews and stuff. No, it's just like, okay, like I'll watch it when it comes out, and we'll see what it's like. And even in that sort of scenario, to where like I didn't have much expectations myself, like I honestly think this is one of the worst episodes I've ever seen. Like period.
Wow.
Like I thought this was really truly like it felt like it was made in 3 days, but also it felt like it was made in 3 days with a creator who's thoroughly done with the show. Which, if you've seen like some of the latest interviews from Chris Chibnall, where he's just like, no, I don't want to write for the show ever again, and I expect, you know, Russell T's gonna ignore everything I've done, you know, and all that. It's just like, it just feels like it's someone who's just, you know, really just done with the show, you know. And this episode screams of that. Like, I hope the Centenary's good, but like, if this is how he's gonna build us up to it, like I can't help but just like.
Well, I feel like the Centenary had more time. Worked on it. To be fair, so I think, I mean, let's just wrap up, I guess, for this one. Yeah, I thought like Phasma was done well. I enjoyed the Doctor's reasoning. I like. It's not that she doesn't want to. It's that, you know, I've gone through shit before, and it hurts, right? And it's like, okay, wow, we're actually like we're learning from past things, you know, building that into the bit. I enjoyed the bit where she said my wife, and I thought it was, there was moments which were like decent for like, you know, sometimes there's that first draft gold which you do get, but then it's like the bits around it.
Well, it felt like 2 or 3 days were spent on that side.
Yeah. I love how fucking Chibnall's way of ending an episode though is, I'm gonna blow us up, then random side character. No, stop right there.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna blow myself up.
Yeah,
you guys get out of here.
And also the whole like Doctor morality thing. It's just like yeah, and I saw this was pointed out on Twitter. Like the one guy, like the guy from the
old
past.
hermit guy.
Yeah. He stabbed the Sea Devil, and the Doctor was just like, "No, that was bad. He didn't have to do that." And then Dan kills like 5 of them, and it's like a joke.
Yep.
It's like,
it's
okay.
kind of crazy. Only use this if you really have to. I mean, they were literally that was the leader guy. Like, if you were gonna stab anyone, that's the guy you wanted to stab.
Him like captured for like centuries, right?
It was very understandable that you would stab this, you know, this sea creature who's trying to literally kill the whole planet. Like,
and like, Did they even explain why the Sea Devil was a statue? Like, did I just miss
Yes,
that?
so that was the jewel which could be
I know it
used.
was the jewel was connected to it, but like, how did that all happen?
So he chased the guy to shore. So when he was, throwing people overboard,
Yeah.
that guy had the jewel.
Yeah.
That guy then on land used that to then turn him into a statue. Who the fuck knows how he knew how to do that? But let's just go
Okay.
magic. And then his descendant was the guy who had it around his neck.
Yeah, I got that side of it.
So that's
yeah.
it.
Well,
So that's
again,
how he
I
turned
just
into a
missed the
statue.
whole like, oh, the guy on the shore did it. It's like, I think that was something that we probably should have seen.
It's classic, yeah, but that's
But
classic Chibnall where he tells and doesn't show, which happens a lot in this, in this era.
But even in this, they had the set, they had the actors. Why didn't they just shoot a small scene of like the thing? Well, I guess I would have had more effect work. Sorry, right? That's right. Like having the Sea Devil turn into stone probably would have.
Oh yeah, one of the cracks looked really bad.
Yeah.
When it was cracking, one literally looked like it didn't curve around it. It literally looked like a 2D crack put onto
like
it.
Straight up 2006 Doctor Who, like in terms of effects work.
Yeah, you can see this was like last minute fucking packed in, and I think if you're a production, office, and we've got this centenary special in the budget, and this one, you're gonna be like, well, fuck, we want this big 100 years special to be the one that looks like hella good. So you put the budget there. You got to make these sacrifices sometimes. Sometimes you don't have a choice. You'd love if they could.
But this didn't have to be made, and if it was, and like, okay, so this didn't have to be made as it is, like, to be more specific. Like, if they'd asked for an episode, make it something far less ambitious than this, like, crazy sea devil, sea monster, pirate, Chinese, thriller thing,
Yep.
Like, make it small scale. Like, do a midnight, as we brought up earlier. If you got like no budget and no time, you do something that fits those limitations. Like, why would you try and make something that really, for the kind of concepts that they're trying to build here, needed an awful lot more to work? Why would you do that? Why?
Who knows? They thought of a good story and they're like, yeah, we could do this. And then, you end up down that road. I mean, if you write it in 3 days, right? They started writing it and then, well, maybe it didn't look so bad, actually. So I'm just trying to find the bit with a crack that looked terrible. And maybe it didn't look so bad in the end.
But if it looked bad in motion...
Oh, yes, yeah, it did. Yeah. Just off the edge of frame, man. I'm not sure if I'll be able to get it exactly on, but it just looks like it's as the camera moves, like it doesn't quite track where the crack should be. But yeah, I don't know. I love the visual of the statue was cool and everything.
The idea of it isn't bad.
Yeah, but ooh, I don't know. Maybe it was just my eye. Maybe it just slightly tracks slightly weirdly. Like it's almost perfect. So in still frames it looks fine, but in motion it's just a bit off.
Yeah.
Like slightly shifts a little bit, but I don't know. Yeah. Small things. So yeah, I mean, look, whatever, man. One more episode, and then that's this era over. There's periods of classic Who that I rarely visit because it's just not for me, and this will just be enough for one of those periods. So I know that it's in safe hands in the next era. Whatever, man. You move on. I'm just moving on. To the next thing.
I get it, but in certain ways, if there's gonna be this degree of pressure and forcing, them to come up with extra episodes in such a short amount of time.
This is Babel we're talking about. Very different.
Well, it's true, but the BBC has probably a lot of control over what happens next. I know it's not going to be a BBC Studios production, but there's probably everything will need to be to a certain extent mandated and greenlit by the BBC higher ups. And if this is if this is the sort of attitude they're gonna take towards the show, then like we may still see a lot of issues. I mean, granted, again, Midnight, you know, Russell T clearly works
I think you
better
can do
under
it.
pressure.
Yeah.
Not
I think it's just a very,
every
very
single
different.
episode he's written though, even
Oh, it
some
was
of the ones under
perfect, but
pressure were, you know, all good.
Yeah.
You know.
But I mean, that's just Doctor Who. You get some good, you get some bad.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
the
of
cool
course.
thing with this as a franchise. I always find it weird when you watch other, like, Doctor Who is the easiest series to like rate in like independent episodes, because it's like, take an example like Daredevil or something. It's like,
Yeah.
because it's such a continued story all the way through. It's like either it's a really great story or it's not, and it's, I find it really hard to judge an episode because I'm like, well, yeah, but it's setting up this next episode, which is really great. So you kind of need, like, I find it a lot
Yeah.
harder to like to break down episodes when they're
Although-
so like,
Yeah.
you know, some people are like, I know when you can like watch an episode and it's really bad and boring. Like, I
Yeah.
get that in a series, but it's like Doctor Who is when you can go from like a fucking 10 to the next week
Oh,
of
yeah,
3.
yeah.
So like it can be the most fucking all over the place. But that's the exciting thing about it, I guess, is
That's
you just
the
don't know if it's going to be fucking
advantage
the
of-
best thing ever or the worst thing
Yeah.
ever. And like, I mean, it sucks when it's the worst thing ever, but it's like having a football team, right? Sometimes you win amazingly and sometimes you lose.
Which-
Sometimes you draw and it's just sort of like, okay,
which is
on to
why
the next one.
Doctor's always thrived on the episodic. Like, not that,
Yeah.
you know, ongoing story arcs can't work in certain ways, but, like, you know, like, Doctor Who Flux, you know,
Yeah.
the ending didn't work, so the rest of the series mostly didn't work,
Think it's-
except
yep.
for the one episode, more or less, that wasn't
War of the Centaurs. Yep.
a part of that overarching story, you know. So, like, yeah, I agree, you know, Doctor Who being as episodic as it is, yeah, you can assess episodes like this in a vacuum, you know, as opposed to, like, taking it and, like, you know, having to rate it as a whole in order to, you know, fill the story. Again, except for stuff like Flux, you know.
Yeah. So, for the first time since the 5 Doctors, we are having the Cybermen, the Daleks, and the Master all in one episode.
Yeah.
What could go wrong?
Yeah.
Like, I think I'd be more excited if we hadn't have just had the Daleks and Cybermen
Yeah.
in Flux. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like that's kind of lessened the excitement from that side.
Yeah. And I mean, yeah, we certainly had like a major issue this whole era with like throwing too much into
Into a mix, right? Like,
yeah,
and this is giving me like, I'm excited. I mean, you know, Tegan and Ace back.
yeah,
We've got Kate Stewart, awesome. We know that Bradley Walsh is showing up from behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah.
Obviously, Dan and Yaz,
probably
and the
Ryan,
Doctor,
too.
and Vinda. Ryan probably will have some small, like, YouTube cameo. Oh, it's a famous YouTuber now. I bet that'll be it. That'll be his arc. So that's already 9 fucking people characters. 9. And then you've got the Master. And then you've got the Daleks and the side. Like, fuck me. Like, already this is sounding like a fucking
yeah.
headache.
I mean,
but we got
granted-
Ashad back. Ashad. Ashad?
Somehow.
Well, he clearly you can unshrink them. Because remember, the Master shrinks him, right?
yeah.
And then he picks him up. Oh, no, he flicked him away, didn't he? I can't remember what he
No,
did.
but that kills
In the
people. Like,
episodes.
like according
But he's
to
a
classics-
machine. He's
I know
a
he's
machine.
a machine. I know
So
he's a
it's slightly
machine,
different.
But he's also, well, he's half machine. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like, surely compressing the matter of like the organic side of it would kill you. You know.
Well, I mean, to be honest, it's science fiction, so I can look around. I can
well-
look up. I can fucking dismiss that, but it's also like, okay, that's wild having him back. Yeah, it's interesting.
And
But
we're actually another one to add to the character list, but the Roof Doctor, because like,
oh yeah,
that's-
Roof Doctor will
yeah.
have to fucking show up, won't
Yeah.
she? Oh my god. Oh my god! I hope this is actually a feature, like a proper like
Please.
90 minutes. Because this is the thing, they say feature and then they go 65 minutes, which yes, technically counts as a feature, but fucking hell, there's a huge difference between a 65-minute episode and a 90-minute episode. Like,
Yeah.
holy fuck. Like, it's exciting. Ace and, you know, Tegan being back is awesome. Like,
Yeah,
holy
absolutely.
fuck. Though I'm fucking terrified that Chris Chibnall is the person who's writing Ace's canonical leaving story, because that's
Yeah.
obviously going to be mentioned. So
Yeah.
it's like, okay, what the fuck? I hope we go with the Sarah Jane Adventures thing where she set up that charity, and that's that angle. I hope, because fuck, you know.
I thought they already like established that in other like spin-off media as well, didn't they?
Yeah, but I mean, you know, they don't really.
They don't have to follow it.
Yeah, they don't
That's
follow
true.
that. Like, TV ultimately trumps any other canonical stuff that's come out.
Oh yeah, of
that
course,
people like to think.
absolutely.
So, fucking hell, it's just it's exciting, but it looks like a lot. Like,
It does, and that's again been this era's consistent issue, particularly with finales. They've never stopped the landing in this whole era, and that's partly because they throw in too many ambitious ideas on like too many things with not enough time, budget,
to like wrap it up.
Script writing competence to make it work. To be quite frank,
it's. I think the Daleks will be a somewhat cameo. I think it will mainly be Master and Cybermen. I think the Daleks are just in there because it's 100 years, right? I think, look, I will be fair on them. I think the whole thing is because it's 100 years, the BBC were like, please, can you have Daleks in it?
Yeah. But then focus on the Daleks, you know.
But the thing is, maybe that's not the story that he wants to tell.
We've had so many Master Cybermen stories.
I know.
Like
I'm getting so tired of fucking
They don't. They're not.
They're not connected.
They're not
You don't have to. Yeah, and like you kind of Moffat fucking he did the best, you know, Master Cyberman story when he did the Doctor Falls. Like you had a multi-master story, which was insane. Like that is how you top it. And then the Mondasian Cyberman, like fucking hell, like. That story is still so fucking epic in my mind. Like, Jesus Christ. I know some people don't like the Doctor Falls, but
really?
I rewatched it again recently, and it's brilliant. It's
like
fucking fantastic. I think it's because it becomes a very different kind of second part, right? That's what Moffat did with his part ones and part twos. He made them completely different. While Russell T Davies kept the same themes throughout, the pacing and the style like stayed similar. But you look at like a Heaven Sent and Hell Bent, completely different. Magician's Apprentice, which is familiar, they just completely changed. Even like his early ones, you know, Pandora Opens and Big Bang, completely different. The only one way it's the same is when he did Empty Child and Doctor Dances, but that's Russell T Davies.
I was say Dark Water, Death in Heaven are pretty tonally like not too distinct from each other. They're different settings because one's
that's probably the closest one that was in his era, because I know that people are going to go, oh, you know, Silence in the Library and Forest of the Dead, but those like Russell T is ultimately having the final say, so it's like, you know, it's slightly different. It's a different style when you're writing for yourself and you're the boss and you have final sign off than when you have someone else who's kind of like would be giving notes and stuff. That's what Russell would have done. So you got some tea.
Thank you.
There we go. But yeah, I guess the Doctor is wearing the orange spacesuit though. We've got it, all of them. I mean, I'm pretty happy about that, just to have them all.
I mean, it's iconic. Like,
and Dan is wearing it, and they've released some pictures, and like Dan's fucking helmet's like cracked in as well. So I'm like, holy shit. You can't go outside. Stakes are high. At least in that one photo. Yeah, I mean, honestly, they should definitely kill some people. Like that would be dramatic. And we saw the Doctor slightly start to regenerate.
Yeah, while calling Yaz. Although
like
that could also be edited for the trailer, of course. So I'd take that with a
pinch of salt.
Yeah, because the Yaz screen could be from anywhere. You know.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, it's interesting. Like, yeah, is it a cop out like when they did it with the 12th Doctor for the Series 10 trailer?
Maybe.
Whether you like in the Lyle of Land kind of thing, or she's gonna partly regenerate but not quite, you know, like the kind of 11th Doctor thing where it's like almost but not quite there and whatever. The effects look slightly different though, which I'm happy about. Like,
Yeah.
I kind of got tired how like we've done the same. Like,
Well,
luckily Peter Capaldi's Matt Smith to Peter Capaldi was a bit of a different thing, but
yeah.
that's because they definitely didn't film them on the same day because no face transition.
True.
But
It
I hope we get a proper transition. That's like my
yeah.
favorite part when you
Yeah.
see them morph.
Yeah. Well, plus the fact that well, I'm glad to see new effects, mainly because like the old sort of effect style seemed to degrade like over time. Like it seemed
Yeah,
to just
the
get
last
worse and worse and worse.
well, the last one was weird because they kind of shot it in slow motion, so it made the effects
Well,
really stand out because it didn't look good in slow motion. It
well, it
looks
was
good at
really
full
weird
motion.
and thin. Like you see the other ones, they're like a full burst of like flames, like
Energy, yeah.
shooting, and like it's full and it's big and it's like explosive. And then you see the Peter Capaldi's Jodie Whittaker one. It's like a really thin, like weird fire thing.
Yeah,
It's weird.
it's interesting. But yeah, so fucking hell, I have no idea how they're gonna.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
expecting another mess, but
I
I'd
think
love to be wrong.
basically-
I'd love to be wrong.
I think basically because the way my guesses for the exits are as follows. So I think like Jodie, these are my like guesses. So obviously save the day. It's fucking Doctor Who. But I think the Doctor will get killed doing something, but not fully change yet. Like almost hold that part back. Knowing that it's now, you know, the wish that she said out loud, so it's not going to come true, which was kind of I kind of like that detail. That she knows that now it's not going to stay the same forever, is going to ultimately like just kick Yaz out, basically being like, I don't want you to go through this. I don't want this to change. Like, this is ending, so this should just end, kind of thing. Dan will obviously go off with Diane because that was
Unless he
clearly set up
dies.
in this. Unless he dies, which would suck. But I love Dan. He's one I'd happily have him return in the future. Like I feel like he would be a great Russell T Davies character. To me, I just feel like he would be.
Like I liked him for periods in Flux, but it felt like more or less since War of the Sontarans, he's had nothing to do, like at all. No purpose really for being.
But I mean, that's kind of almost like classic companions in some ways. They never had like major impacts. They were just in the stories, you know.
Each got like normally you look back at classic companions and sure, like there are several episodes where there was just sort of like dare to ask questions, but normally you could find like specific episode examples where there'd be a heavy focus on like one companion or another. Like
I think what also helps though is they were like 90-minute scripts. You know, like 4 parts is like a feature. Every single classic Doctor Who, apart from 2-parters, are basically films, right? Like they're all TV films.
To be fair,
split
like,
out.
Stuff like Black Orchid and such focus on Nissan, for example.
Yeah, but like that's still like it's such a small part of the whole series. It was just a different time. But yeah, there was a lot more was written for the characters, and these are like quick pacing, 45 minutes, in and out, boom. Done. Like Dan is like a plug companion, like just plugging that gap until like till the end of this era. Plastering, yeah. Why the fuck did he get in trouble for plastering? He didn't even do any fucking plastering. So weird, so fucking weird how that was such a big deal. But yeah, obviously, like fucking hell, man. I have no idea how this centenary is gonna go. I'm just glad we got a trailer so people aren't fucking doing.
I'm just worried that if it is really bad, that it might actually have like significant damage. Because like, sure, like having bad episodes in the series is like one thing, but like centenary, that's when all eyes are gonna be on the show.
Yeah and no, because I think the difference is right. When it comes back for the 60th, not only is it most likely going to be at least a multi-Doctor story, let's be honest. In some shape or form, they're gonna come back, right? Like some of them, at least some. David Tennant, let's be honest, probably will. It's Russell T Davies, you know. That's the second thing. It's Russell T Davies, and that will spread. That'll spread, and it's easy because you just go, "Oh, it's the guy who wrote it when it first came back." You know, David Tennant, and people will be, "Oh, he was really good." And like, so I think no matter what happens, this is fine. Say if it was going to a different showrunner who we didn't know before and whatever, then yeah, I think it could do significant damage to that next era. Because it's like that's when really you'd have to take like a break and then come back with someone who's experienced, has a name behind them. Russell T Davies has only got bigger, you know, since Doctor Who.
Exactly.
And his writing's got, you know, even better and, you know, more experience, and it's going to be great. So I can't see really whatever happens it doing any damage. In some ways, I'm glad that, you know, they're bringing Ace back into the fold, because that means
absolutely.
easy. You know, that's easy for Russell T Davies to go, yep, I'll take Ace, because he definitely loves Ace. I mean, you look at Rose, and the modern companion is basically based off of Ace. So, you know, like, great. Ace spin-off series. You know that Russell T Davies wants to do these things. He set it up the way that he wanted to do it. I can't see him not doing a lot of the same things again. Yeah, he'll go for different stories and maybe a slightly different style. But ultimately, when you watch Russell T Davies stuff, his characters are always strong and his plots are relatively always, you know, tight as fuck, really. So I just, you know, I'm nervous for the centenary, but ultimately I'm also not too worried. I'll enjoy it hopefully for as, you know, as much as I can, and then hopefully I think what they're going to do is reveal who's playing the Doctor during the episode. I generally think because Russell T Davies didn't get to do that back in 2005 because it leaked.
Yeah, although I wouldn't be surprised if that happened again.
If it leaks again, yeah.
I'm.
But we'll see.
I'm not sure how they're going to keep it a secret till then, to be quite frank.
Well, they only filmed that scene. I mean, the 60th anniversary, right? Not till November of next year. They filmed the 50th anniversary in April of 2013, right? So they don't need to even shoot anything until then.
Yeah.
Right? Because they're not doing a series before the 60th. They're not. No. They have said he's starting with the 60th and then doing the series beyond. Maybe a couple. So that's a series in spring 2024. It will definitely be spring because they'll definitely start shooting. But I think they'll shoot the 60th first.
Yeah.
Right? So you don't need to cast the new Doctor if they're not the main thing. If the rumors are true and they're going to do like a couple of episodes for the 60th and each Doctor has like their own episode, then what does it matter? You can shine the light all on David Tennant. Oh, look at his in the suit. He's on location. He's being the Doctor again. And then you're like, you know, you've cast your Doctor. It's in the background. They know they've got the work coming up, but they're not on location shooting anything. So few would know.
Yeah, there'd be multiple doctors. A couple of doctors now saying that they are actively don't want to be a part of like multi-doctor stories, particularly like I think relevant for I know Christopher Eccleston said it too, but like I still don't really see working with Russell T. But like Peter Capaldi also said it.
Yeah, but do you know what's weird though? Yeah, but see, this is the thing. If they do individual stories,
well, exactly, that's what I'm saying.
It works, right? And it's interesting because Christopher Eccleston said something very different recently, which was I don't think there's anything interesting with a multi-Doctor story. So you won't get me back unless it's me by myself. Yeah. He said it was along those lines, and that's a change of tone, right? Like that's an interesting one.
I mean, he could be talking like hypothetically.
Yeah, he could be, but to me, like it's from going I would never go back to then I wouldn't go back for a multi-Doctor story, so that doesn't interest me. Like that was interesting to me, at least. It probably means nothing, and it's probably overreading into it. But it was interesting in like tone change. I mean, he's definitely loving it. Like listening to the Big Finish, you know, it's awesome hearing that, you know, that Murray Gold theme come in the title sequence again. It fucking took me back so far in time. oh god, it just gives me chills. It's like that, just that sound, just goes through you, just gets you like, I don't know, gets you kind of nervous. That like, ooh,
Yeah.
what's gonna happen? Scary. And I hope that theme. It'll be interesting if Murray Gold comes back, because Russell T Davies always just works with Murray Gold. So
Yeah, I wouldn't. I think that's gonna happen. Honestly,
yeah,
like I think Murray Gold.
Bombastic
Given all the
again.
other people that they brought back from, you know, the the original production,
Yeah,
I think Murray
yeah,
Gold's a pretty safe bet.
nice. But yeah, so honestly, I think they could keep the Doctor a secret till Regeneration. See, they couldn't
Potentially.
with Jodie because they started filming what in like the October,
Mm.
like yeah, before the Christmas special. So it's like, well, you're gonna get caught out doing that because you
Yeah.
got a TARDIS, you got Jodie Whittaker on location. But this so far in advance that they're not even filming yet. So
Mm.
I mean, they managed to film Jodie's whole intro sequence thing, very quietly.
Mm.
Um, and that didn't get leaked. Jodie didn't get leaks. I don't think. They just decided when to share it when they, were
It
ready.
didn't, as far as I know. No, I think it was all. It all
It
kind
all
of
was
happened.
until that moment. I
And to be
didn't,
fair, neither. I mean, I know Peter Capaldi was
Peter
highly
Capaldi didn't.
speculated about,
Yes,
like in
yeah,
terms of the bookies. He was like the favorite for a while, but like that wasn't because of like a specific leak. I
yeah.
don't
There was
think.
nothing. Well, there might have been like insider leaks, but nothing that
Maybe.
was tangible. Nothing that
But
could.
nobody knew
So I
because
remember
like there's
someone.
lots there's been lots of examples of people in the past who they've suddenly the bookies have gone like crazy for. Like I
Like Chris
remember
Martin.
specifically like before Matt Smith, like the bookies were going crazy for Patterson Joseph. I remember in particular was like
Yeah.
and that no it didn't happen. So
So I think Russell T is gonna try and do that. That we find out in the episode, or she doesn't regenerate at all, and that's left a little bit more open. I mean, we know for a fact she doesn't regenerate in the TARDIS
hmm.
by what they said. Like their last day was not in the TARDIS. Like they had a last day in the TARDIS, and then like a different day, which was, and she said the regeneration was the last thing they filmed. So yeah,
Hmm.
because I think they like to do that. That is the last thing that you do, which makes sense.
Yeah. Although it hasn't
I
always happened in the past.
no, no. But yeah, so onto the centenary in October. How many months is that? Well, to May to June, July, August, September, October. 6 months.
Yeah.
And this era's over.
Yeah. Well,
Chibnall era.
yeah.
Wow, it's been a ride.
It certainly
Onto
has been.
R2D2.
Like, you know, I mean, we'll probably have some like final thoughts on the Chibnall era, like after the fact, like how we thought the whole era's, but it's
Yeah,
like it's been a mixed bag, to say the
yeah.
very least. Like
As I
even more so than other showrunners, not
yeah,
no showrunners had like a perfect run, like well, bad episodes, throughout.
yeah.
It just
I
felt
think
like they
this.
were far more frequent.
I think losing the Bad Wolf production company was a huge blow. I think
Well,
trying to do it all with BBC Studios, it's just too big a property. It's too big.
they weren't involved in the Moffat era, were they?
I'm sure they did something, or it was they had something. Like the big thing about this Chibnall era is it just became all 100% BBC
Yeah.
Studios, and I think it's just too big. It's too big a thing to achieve without like a company which is more 100% about making fiction content.
Hmm.
That's why his Dark Materials is Bad Wolf. Like that's a big fucking property, and you had some big ass stars in that show as well. You just need that. You need that kind of company, that extra thing behind it, because
Yeah.
BBC just, I think, studios as its own thing is like great. You can work good collaborators, but I don't think they've got that quite the powerhouse of Bad Wolf. That's why Sony want to buy them, right? or have bought. Have they bought? I can't remember now. But right, like it's just yeah. So
Yeah, anyway, yeah.
that's I think was
That's,
a
yeah.
big thing. But yeah, and hopefully more consistent series in R2D2. Like just in terms of like air date, like 10 a year, sure. I don't mind if you have 10 and then a Christmas special and Christmas specials again, please. I think we will though. I think we'll get the 60th anniversary stuff. If they do a series though, I think those will go from November 23rd and be like one a day. Like not one a day, fucking hell. One a week. One a week until Christmas Day, and Christmas Day will be like the finale. Because like imagine doing a big fucking finale on like Christmas Day, multi-doxer. Because like it's weird, like the 60th doesn't land on a good day. This next year, I think it lands on like a Tuesday or something. It's a Thursday. So it's like, are they going to do it on the day? Are they gonna, with the 50th? It's great because it nicely lands on a Saturday. But yeah, oh, and back on Saturdays, please.
Yeah.
Fucking hate Sunday episodes. Just it's only nice because tomorrow's a bank holiday, but otherwise it's been such a pain.
Yeah.
But yeah, there we go. What did you guys think of Legends of Sea Devils? And what do you think of the centenary? If you got this far, fucking hell, well done. Because I think we've talked for ages.
Probably. Yeah. I wonder how it compares to our last video, which is already our longest video by far.
Yeah, what was that one? It was like an hour and a half or so.
Yeah.
Maybe almost 2 hours.
Going on 2
Whatever.
hours, yeah.
That's it. Okay, catch you next time, guys. Maybe in October. Who knows? Bye.
Bye.